The year was 1992. Nintendo released a racing game that focused more on multiplayer casual gaming than the more complex single-player experiences of the time. That game, Super Mario Kart. Super Mario Kart was an instant success and went on to become the fourth best-selling SNES game of all time, selling 8.7 million copies worldwide. The massive success kick-started the series and the kart racing genre as a whole. Due to the age and the hardware limitations of the system it lived on, it's graphically and mechanically unimpressive by today's standards, but for the time, it ran and played very well. It's the most dissimilar to every other game in the franchise, with the most immediately noticeable reason being that, due to the hardware limitations, everything in the game is a two-dimensional plane, with question blocks, coins, and walls all being totally level with the track itself being totally flat with very few jumps, which can make it very difficult to see obstacles in certain tracks. There are 5 races per cup and 5 laps per race, something that was changed in the very next game to the 4 races per cup, 3 laps per race that we know today. In each race, you are awarded a certain number of points depending on how well you do, and the person with the most points at the end of the cup wins the cup. If you place lower than 4th in a race, you have to restart the race and you lose a life. There are only 8 unique tracks in this game, with each track, except for Rainbow Road, just having numbered iterations of each other. Even with the differences, there are many features of the game that lived on into other games in the series. Other than the core mechanics of the series, a feature that's in a few other games is the rival system they have in place. The point of the rival system is to make it so that you actually have a couple of racers that are competitive with you throughout the entire cup, so that you couldn't possibly get first place in the cup without actually ever winning a race. Because if all of the racers were just as good as each other, then potentially you could get second in every single race and still win on points at the end of the cup. In Super Mario Kart, each character has set rivals that keep with you during each race in the cup. For example, if you play as Mario, you're going to see Donkey Kong Jr. and Princess Peach keep up with you throughout each race you play as Mario. When you switch your racer, you'll have different rivals. Every game has some form of rival system, but the idea of set rivals for each character is something that wouldn't return, with the exception of Mario Kart Super Circuit, until Mario Kart 7. Even though the game is pretty basic in hindsight, it was very influential to players at the time and is still worth going back to look at. By far, the biggest leap in the series is the jump from Super Mario Kart to Mario Kart 64, which makes sense because of the massive hardware upgrade between the Super Nintendo and the N64. With this hardware upgrade, the game was able to use 3D graphics for the environment, which is a massive visual improvement and holds up pretty well even to this day. The first time I played this game, I was actually surprised at how similar it looked and felt to the modern games and the games that I grew up playing, just because of how different Super Mario Kart was visually and mechanically. The game adds many features that we know and love today, such as turbo boosts from drifts, 4-player support, and weight classes for playable characters. They also added many new items and courses, with all courses being unique, not numbered variants of each other. This game changed the way the rivals are handled. In Mario Kart 64, at the beginning of each cup, 2 totally random CPUs are chosen as your rivals for that cup, and they will change in each cup regardless of which character you're using. The courses are longer and more complex than Super Mario Kart, and the enemy CPUs have a really annoying rubber banding AI that is super noticeable when you're playing the game, where no matter how many boosts or items or what you do in the game, they're always going to be directly on your tail no matter what. Your 2 rivals will always be immediately behind you, and it's really frustrating and seriously takes away from this game's gameplay, and it makes it one of the worst in the series. The hardware is still limited, so there's certain things that have to be changed when you're playing multiplayer, like clouds and music just disappearing if you have 4 players. Unlike Super Mario Kart 64 allows for 2 to 4 player battle mode. Super Mario Kart only allowed a 2-player battle mode. In both games, there's only one battle game, which is what we now call today Balloon Battle, but back then it was just called Battle Mode because it was the only one. The handling of the karts is improved, but it's not perfect by any means. And especially with the super annoying CPUs, this game's mechanics don't hold up as well as other games in the series. Even though it isn't unplayable, this game you'd only really want to play if you have nostalgia for it. Otherwise, it's not great. Regardless of that, this game did super well and was the second best-selling N64 game. Mario Kart Super Circuit on the Game Boy Advance was the first game to have more than 4 cups in it. Along with the 5 standard cups, you have 5 extra cups, which are all of the cups and courses from Super Mario Kart repackaged into the 4 race per cup, 3 lap per race format. Super Circuit also gives you a score as well as a trophy whenever you beat a cup, with these scores being visible on the cup select screen, something that would only be available on handheld Mario Kart games until Mario Kart Wii. This game is pretty similar to Super Mario Kart. It's mostly special because it was on handheld and it was portable, making it easier to just pick up and play at any time. The controls aren't great, and it tells you when upcoming turns are going to happen with a little thing at the top of the screen that looks like when Lakitu tells you you're going the wrong way, and it's kind of annoying, actually. This game's rival system is practically the same as Super Mario Kart's. Mario Kart Double Dash is the next game in the series. This game is interesting for several reasons. It has a substantial graphical boost, and the mechanics are a huge improvement. This is the first game in the series that really starts to feel like a modern Mario Kart, and that you could go back to and play right now without any historical significance or nostalgia being a factor. Double Dash is the only game in the series that has you playing as 2 characters on a double-seated kart, or 2 players playing co-op on the same kart. And it's the first to have 3D graphics for players and items as well as environments. This game also added kart options and special items. At the beginning of a cup, you choose the characters you want to play as, and you choose the kart that you would like to use, with more karts and more characters being unlockable as you play with different characters and different kart combinations on different difficulties. This game added the ability to hold 2 items, with each character on the kart being able to hold 1. The item that you throw is the item held by the person in the back of the cart, and you can only pick up a new item if the person in the back of the cart doesn't have an item, unless you pick up a double item, and then they both just grab it. In this game, rivals are still random, but the weight class of the rivals depends on the CC of the cup. In 50cc, any weight class can be your rivals, and 100cc, middleweight or heavyweight is who your rivals are going to be, and anything above that, they're all going to be heavyweight. This game has 16 characters with 4 additional unlockable characters, 12 more than any other game, any other game up until that point. There are definitely more characters than other games. This game has 16 characters with 4 additional unlockable characters. That's 12 more than any previous game in the series, which makes sense because each kart has 2 characters on it. Double Dash added more battle modes as well. Along with Balloon Battle, you can play Shine Thief or Bob-omb Blast. This game is a massive improvement in the series, and this is the point where it actually really starts to feel like modern Mario Kart games. Mario Kart DS was the first game to introduce online gameplay, but much like Mario Kart Super Circuit, it is mostly cool because it's handheld and on the DS. That's the main appeal. Mario Kart DS introduced Retro Grand Prix Cups, something that would become a mainstay in future Mario Kart games. Alongside the 4 new cups, you had 4 retro cups you could play that consisted entirely of reused courses from old games, revamped with the DS's new visuals and mechanics. This game doesn't add a lot other than refining the mechanics, but I think this one is still fun to go back to and play every once in a while, and I know I will. Mario Kart Wii is the game that I grew up playing, so I have a lot of nostalgia for it. This game adds tricks and bikes, making it very close to having all the mainstays of the current games. In this game, whether you use a kart or a bike depends on the speed of the race you're doing. 50cc is karts only, 100cc is bikes only, and 150cc is karts and bikes. With the addition of bikes, Mario Kart Wii introduced wheelies that provide a short speed boost and inside drifting, which a lot of people love, but personally, I fucking hate. Basically how it works is instead of kicking your rear wheel out and doing a drift like normal, like you would on a kart, you fully commit to a turn and turn really sharp to generate a mini turbo. I do not like this way at all. I like the traditional way, but inside drifting is only on the sports bike variety of bikes in this game. And it is also important to note that no bikes in Mario Kart Wii can perform a super mini turbo. Inside drifting is the reason I don't really use bikes in any Mario Kart game, because I just learned doing research to this video that it's the sports bike that has it, and I've just avoided every bike because I cannot stand that, and I don't want to start a cup, realize I'm going to play like dog shit, and then have to continue. But a lot of people really like it, and it would be fine. When researching this video, I did play with some inside drift bikes and got the hang of it, but I won't be staying with that. This is the first console game that introduces a rank as well as a trophy and has them visible on the Cup Select screen. The main way they want you to play Mario Kart Wii is with the motion controls, but you can play with the Wii Remote and Nunchuck without motion controls. They also gave the option to turn off drifting, which is good because if you are playing with motion controls, the drifting is kind of clunky and you probably want to turn it off, but you can't generate mini turbos unless you have drifting enabled. Mario Kart Wii had online tournaments through the Mario Kart Wii channel on the Wii menu. It's a great game to pick up every once in a while for me because I grew up with it and I've got a lot of nostalgia for it. But if you don't, then it's honestly one you could skip and you wouldn't be missing too much unless you're looking to try your hand at all of the glitches and exploits that are plentiful in this game. I also had Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS when I was younger, so that one is also important to me. This game has gliding, underwater driving, and kart customization. Instead of having different karts or bikes you can choose at the beginning of each cup, instead you now choose which wheels you want to use, which glider you want to use, and the main body that you want to use. So you can really pin down the stats and the style that you want to go for, which I love, and I don't love that they're taking that away from Mario Kart World. But whatever, I guess. Nothing I can do about it. Mario Kart 7 removed bikes, but they would return again in Mario Kart 8. This game has 3D compatibility due to it being a 3DS game. I love the 3D on 3DS games. I think everyone who is able to should try it out at some point. It hurts your eyes and it gives you a headache after you do it for a while. You got to hold it in a very specific position, but fucking by God, is it awesome. You gotta try the 3D. Also, fun fact, it may or may not be the reason I need glasses. Because I always had that fucking slider turned up, and every time I play my 3DS, you bet your ass, I'm getting a headache. Mario Kart 7 reintroduces coins in the regular Grand Prix races, the first time since Mario Kart Super Circuit. Coins increase the player's top speed, increasing the speed of the boosts that you get. Unfortunately, the 3DS by itself is uncomfortable to play with if you're like an adult. So if you play for too long, your hands cramp up real bad, worse than on the Switch without any grip. So it's kind of hard to recommend unless you're emulating it, or if you have a grip, or maybe you just for some reason really think the 3DS is comfortable. But it is a really great game, and it's worth playing on original hardware, if for no other reason than just to experience the 3D if you haven't already. And that brings us to Mario Kart 8, the final game in the series before Mario Kart World launches with the Switch 2 at the time of recording in 3 days. Mario Kart 8 adds anti-gravity, ATVs, and brings back bikes, as well as introducing characters from outside the Mario universe into the character select screen like Isabella or Link. Inside drifting has been tweaked in this game, and a lot of people prefer the Wii's inside drifting. Personally, I don't like any of it, so I don't really care. This game keeps gliding and underwater driving, as well as adding anti-gravity, giving each course another layer of depth and variety. And also, just it's visually stunning to look at, especially on the Switch. I didn't have a Wii U, so I never played the original version, but especially on the Switch, it looks incredible. All the mechanics have been fine-tuned, so the driving experience feels perfect, in my opinion, with options for motion controls for more casual players and driving assist for younger players or players who maybe aren't that good. This game truly captures the Mario Kart experience. So if the controls, art style, and mechanics have all been fine-tuned and are more or less what I think is perfect, then where does the series go from here? I've mentioned the Mario Kart experience a couple of times, and every game includes at least some elements of it, but what does it really mean? All the way back in 1992, Nintendo wanted to make a game that anybody could jump into, casually or competitively, with or without friends. The core experience of Mario Kart is being able to pick up any game at any time and having fun. No matter how seriously you're taking it, no matter how old you are, no matter if you've ever played it before. And because most of the games have retro tracks, every game feels familiar. No matter which one you grow up with, you turn the game on and in seconds, you're able to be playing. You can put it down at any time, or you can beat every race at every difficulty, unlock every secret. In my opinion, Mario Kart 8 is the definitive Mario Kart game. It has the best user experience, the best visuals, captures every element of what it means to be a Mario Kart game perfectly. And in my opinion, I don't think Mario Kart World is going to change that. From what I've seen, I think Mario Kart 8 will be a better Mario Kart game. But obviously, an open world experience is the next step for the Mario franchise. Initially, when Mario Kart World was announced, I was not excited. I don't think Mario Kart needs to be open world, and I think it would suffer from it. But the more I thought about it, the more I chewed on it, the more I started to think about what an open world Mario Kart could be, and I got excited for the idea of an open world Mario Kart game. And then the Mario Kart World Direct happened, and it was everything that I was initially thinking. I don't want to spend too much time dwelling on the fact that I think the open world looks like it sucks, and like they knew they had to do it, so they just slapped something together even though they didn't really want to. And there's no reason to go in the open world. Instead of focusing on that, I want to talk about what we could have had. So I just want you to picture this with me instead. You put in the game, you boot it up, and you're greeted with two options: story mode and classic mode. Classic mode is just regular Mario Kart. You play through each cup as you want to, you play with friends, you do whatever you want, just like initially, right? No open world, nothing to worry about. You pick your characters, you do all that. Or you play story mode. Story mode is an open world racing experience similar to a lot of the other ones that we've already seen that are good. you could introduce some sort of story element. You could even have your character side with, you know, the good guys or the bad guys, depending on what you wanted to do. Let's say you played as a me or another customizable character, and as you went through the game, raced more people, met more characters, you would unlock them in classic mode, and you'd unlock different kart options in classic mode and all that sort of thing as you're exploring the story and playing through the story. You've got to drive to each race to play it. You've got to beat each race to win. And throughout the whole thing, they could have little races that are just like one-off drag races with different characters, stuff like that. Just have a bunch of stuff in the world to actually do, but not force the open world aesthetic onto you. You know what I mean? I think that'd be a way better game. You can still have Knockout Tournament in it, which I think would be good. I think Knockout Tournament actually does look like fun. It's the one new thing that's going to be in it that I think is exciting. But you could also have battle arenas scattered all over the map, each battle arena being a different battle mode, right? Or maybe they're just different battle maps and you choose which battle mode you play when you get there. Just more shit to do. This game would give you the next evolution of a Mario Kart game while keeping the soul of the series intact. The idea that at any time, you and a buddy can just sit down on the couch, a few drinks deep, and play some Mario Kart, right? You just play classic mode when that's all you want to do. Just hop in for a few minutes and do some races, or take the time, explore the open world, beat the story, all that other fun stuff that would be available without this weird hybrid where the open world feels soulless and dead. It feels like they knew they had to do an open world, so they just kind of shoehorned one in even though they didn't want to. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to come up with a game that would be an open world Mario Kart that would actually be good. And it's kind of upsetting that this is what we're getting. I'm still going to buy it. I don't know when. I'm not going to be able to buy the Switch 2 at launch, which I was initially hoping I was going to be able to, but I never saved up enough. So I am going to take that money that I did save up in anticipation for the launch, and I'm going to buy some other games with it, because in the whole Switch's life cycle, I haven't been able to get that many first-party games that I really wanted. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And when I do inevitably get the Switch 2, I will get Mario Kart World and I will play it. But it's just disappointing to think about what we could have had. And it's also discouraging to think that even after I get the Switch 2, if me and my brother want to play Mario Kart together, there's a good chance we're going to play Mario Kart 8.